Walgreens on Court Street in Plymouth. Please no flash photography, but also flash photography? Really? Now here's Greg Simoneau.
Hi, thanks. This is a vacant Walgreens on Court Street. They're really pushing us off of Court Street. Oh, thanks to the local scene for having me tonight. Thanks to Dan in the booth. All right. Oh, so when I was a kid, we had lots of parades in my town, and I don't go to parades anymore because I don't wake up that early anymore. So I think they still have them. And I don't go to parades. I try to avoid parades like they're parades. You know what I mean? That's the worst example I can think of. But I try to avoid those parades. In my parades, they used to have horses in them, and the horses would shit right there on the street as they went by, And then another cart would come by and throw candy right in the shit. And I would be there and I would be like, you know what? I'm not going to go for that one right now, but I'm coming back for that one a little later. And if it was a Tootsie Roll, it couldn't really tell the difference, It was like looking for a needle in a horse shit. You know what I mean? And it still had the wrapper on it, right? It's still okay. I don't know. And they told us it was a parade, right? It wasn't just like some community kickback thing, right? It wasn't our one chance at candy for the whole year, right? I don't know. So I would get my candy, and my mom would say, "Hey, why don't you give some of that candy to your brother?" Give some of my roadside parade candy to my brother? Well, I don't think so. I'm the one who dove into traffic for that. Let him get his own. I'm the one who fishes through that cow patty right there. Let him get his own. Plus, it's all gone. You know what I'm saying? It's all gone. And my mom would be like, that's too much. Spit that out. You're going to choke. She sounded like a bad porn director. You know what I mean? Spit that out. That's too much. You're going to choke. All right, everyone back to one. Grab your father's robe. That was my mom. Yeah, and when they came by with the candy, it was like we were like concert goers when they turned the hose on you when it got too hot out, We were just like, yes. And just once, instead of candy, I wanted them to spray us with soda, yes, soda. Because once one drop hit my tongue, I was going to turn into a gremlin for the rest of the night with my mom. I was going to be like, ha, 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 ha. I was going to be throwing my textbooks into the fireplace, ripping out pages out of encyclopedias. My dad would be like, who ripped out Pennsylvania out of the encyclopedia? I was reading that. Damn kids. Yeah, it's good to be here in this old Walgreens. Let's use it for something, right? It was a joke while it was open, so why not, right? And when those parades came by, back then they didn't care if you had peanut allergies. They gave you any candy. They're throwing it out there like this. Here you go. Here's some death. Death to the peasants. There you go. This parade ran on the notion of survival of the fittest, all right? If you got the candy, you could eat it. So my mom was always like, give your brother some. All right, Mom. I was like, Ma, there's another wave coming. Luckily, there was like 2 or 3 or 4 trucks that threw out candy, There's another wave coming. And Just wait for the waves, okay? And I wish they did soda, but my town was lame, you know? They would just spray us with milk. You know what I mean? That's all we got. Milk. And I remember one guy had a cowbell. He's like, here comes the milk truck. You know, that was their theme. Kids, get your milk. That was the big thing back then. And one of the firefighters, when he sprayed us with the milk, he's like, I just came in your face. Ooh, facial, you know? And I would be like, oh, I don't know what that means. But the next time I was in school, I would be saying that to everyone. I was like, ooh, I just came in your face, facial, you know? There would be notes going home, stuff like that. It wasn't a good scene. I didn't really know the lingo. I feel like the firefighters in my town were like Rob Riggles. You know what I mean? I think that's how he got his start. I think it was Rob Riggles on that truck. Then my mom would say, all right, Greg, we'll give your brother some of the milk. He didn't get any. And I'd be like, oh, all right, well, I don't have a cup or anything, you know, so I'd have to wring out my T-shirt like it was a cow teat, you know. Here you go, bro. Have some milk. Get a share. You know what I mean? Thanks. This Walgreens used to sell milk. I think I can still smell it. I don't know. But the big thing is, I would always ask my mom every day, is there a parade today, Mom? Is the parade today? And she would be like, no parade today. Not yet. A couple more moons, you know, a couple more suns, a couple more sleeps. And I'd be like, what are we, in a tribe here? I don't know. What are you talking about? I go to sleep, I wake up, I don't count the sleeps. I don't know dates, you know? Is it parade day or not, you know? So eventually she'd be like, yep, today, yeah, guess what, kids? Today's the day for the parade. Yes. And because there'd be like toy vendors there too, I would go down, I'd turn to my little brother and I go, I'm going to get a sword today. And he'd be like, yeah. And I was so excited. I was so into swords back then. I think I might have been a pirate in a previous life. You know what I mean? I think I came out of the womb swashbuckling. You know what I mean? I don't know. Something like that. And, you know, I think from those pirate toys, I think I should have went into fencing, you know, right? I should have went into fencing, but it wasn't offered, you know, to the middle class. You know, we wouldn't have been able to take fencing. But my mother would have had to make a better choice in a life partner, you know, for me to have fenced. But who's to say I would have got the pirate gene from Rich Dad? We don't know. So it's kind of good how it turned out. Thanks. This store used to sell pirate swords, I think. Oh, this old rapper right there. No, just kidding. Oh, what up, Walgreens? But as I grew older, I got away from swords and I got more interested in baseball and girls. Ironically, you somewhat use a sword in those instances too, right? In baseball, my favorite thing would be to bunt and then I don't know. Is that a move? Can you do that? I don't know. And then with girls on the first date, I would say something like, "I just came in your face," and they would be like, "Ooh." Didn't have many second dates either, so those were two hobbies that didn't really work out. I remember asking my mom, "Mom, are you sure Sword Guy is going to be there? Is Sword Guy going to be at the parade today?" And she would, just to appease us, she'd be like, "Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think he is. Let me just check. I got a list of the street vendors right here. Okay, it says Santa Claus won't be there, but he's still watching. It's too hot for the Easter Bunny." And I'm like, yes, I don't want to see the Easter Bunny. Ronald McDonald will be there with some watered-down high C. And I think, right here, Sword Guy. Sword Guy will be there as a street vendor today. And I was like, thanks, Mom. You're the best. And then the next question would be, Mom, what if Sword Guy doesn't show up? What if Sword Guy doesn't? Well, then you don't get a sword. And we say a little prayer for sword guy because that's a dangerous line of work he's in, and the margins are very slim. And I always thought, are the street vendors at the parades, are they just carnies, you know? Are the carnies asking the same questions I am at home? Is it a parade day today? Is it a parade day today? Is it a parade? No, yes, no. And then finally the head carny, he'd be like, well, yeah, it's parade day. So grab all your inflatables, your toy weaponry, and see if you can find a shopping cart, and let's go. Yeah, yay! And on the days it wasn't a parade, he'd be like, all right, back to the machines, and you back in your cage. There you go. But I remember being so excited for that sword. I don't remember what sword guy looks like, because I don't really love to look at a shirtless guy smoking. That's not one of my big things. I don't like that. But I do remember it coming in a clear plastic bag, hanging off that shopping cart. Why did it say Walmart on that shopping cart? I don't know. In my time, it probably said Benny's, right? Or maybe it was Walgreens. Maybe that's how we lost. Sorry. But yeah, then it came in a plastic case, and it came in a plastic sheath, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then that firefighterman came back, and he goes, I just came in your sheath. And, I didn't know what that meant, right? But next time I was in school, I would say that to everyone. I just came in your sheath. It's gross, stupid. And the sheath was a hard plastic, and you couldn't really bend it. And I did one time, and I kinked it. So that wasn't good. And my mom said, okay, we'll keep it in its case till we get home, because she knew that thing was only going to last 5 minutes out of the case. It was going to break, I think the night before, sword guy was up all night super gluing these swords together. I think they just sent him the pieces because these things were brittle. You don't remember. They were very brittle. So I got the sword. We got it in the sheath. She's telling me to keep it in there. And now I just had to get it home, right? I had to get out of the hubbub of the parade and get home with the sword so I could wield it in any way I wanted out of the, range of strangers. But it's a funny thing where as you're going through... Thanks. But as you're going through the strangers and you're a little kid holding a sword, everyone has questions. Oh, are you a pirate? What are you going to do with that sword? Are you going to stab me? Oh, are you going to come up with some really intricate rules to a card game and then pull out your sword when you lose? Are you going to do something like that? Or are you going to pillage my village and then try to make it back onto your ship, die in the town square, and they're going to erect a statue to you? Is that what's going to happen? Oh, aren't you so cute? And I just be like, yep. But conversely, when you're an adult walking down the street with a sword, no one will even look at you. You know what I mean? No one will even make eye contact. Oh. So when I finally got back to Graham's with my sword, there was this kid next door, and he was older than us, like a teenager, like a kid guy, and he would chase us, and he was a little bit older, and he was also had been in a fire, so he was missing one eye, he had an eye patch, and he just had a nub, like that, and he would chase us, and it would look like, like an ogre chasing two hobbits, something out of Lord of the Rings, and that taught us a lesson early on, to run from people who are different. So I thought that was a good lesson to learn early on. Thanks. And he was, he was a good guy. He would chase us around. He'd help us out, and he loved us. He loved us kids because we weren't burned. You know what I mean? It's okay. I could say this. I once put my hands on the stove door when I was little. But yeah, he liked us because we were like a loaf of white bread before it went into a Smeg toaster. You know what I mean? He loved us. And to us, he was like a Yankee candle, like a tobacco and bourbon scented Yankee candle with the same politics. Yeah, but he was fun. And I remember when he did pass away, my mom told us, and I was a little sad, a little happy, but also a little sad, because his image had really been burned into my memory. That's what I want to say. And I was glad I could mention him tonight on my set, because his story was a flame inside me, and I just wanted to bring his story to light. You know what I mean? And I would always have questions for my mom, like, "Hey, Mom, hey, how does he tie his shoes? How does he punch? Or how does he clap? But I didn't really ask her the real question. I was like, how did he jerk off? You know what I mean? My mom was like, she's pretty nice. She probably wouldn't have answered that, but she probably would have said something like, well, he can fist someone really good. She's always putting a positive spin on it. And I think I remember asking her, I was like, oh, you think he went to heaven or do you think he went to hell? Because he was already burned once. Can you get burned twice? And she said, well, hopefully, let's just say a little prayer for him, and hopefully that doesn't happen. That was her answer for everything. And I felt like after we played with him, and everything, and I figured like maybe God would come down and speak to us. Hey, children, you guys are good kids for playing with Bernie. And don't worry, we've given him a new eye and a new hand, and now he can jerk off normally. Thanks, God. Oh, God, before you go, yes, you both have pirate blood in you. He knew. He already knew. Sometimes I, watch Lord of the Rings or I watch Goonies, and I wish I had thought of him, but I don't. I just really enjoy those movies, It's too bad. And sometimes I see a Burger King commercial, I see a flame broiled Whopper, and I think, I'm really getting hungry. Again, I don't even think of him really that much, so it's sad. He doesn't. I don't think of him often. But the parade wasn't the only thing over the summer that we had to do. The other thing was Edaville. And you might know Edaville. It's in Carver. It's still there. Christmas, you go there for the Christmas lights. In the summer, you just go there for the heat. It's just a hot place to go. And if you don't know Edaville, it's like an extension of the parade, really. It's like carnival games, carnival rides, and then the whole place has a train that runs all the way around it. And, you go on that, and if you're lucky, you go on it twice, but that's the big one. That's the big draw, is the trains. And when you first get into Edaville, they have a gift shop, right? And what do they have in the gift shop? What do you think? Is it like little conductor hats? No, I don't remember that. Is it toy steam engines? No, I don't remember seeing any of those. Oh yeah, it was a bunch of Indian stuff. They had Indian headdresses, toy hatchets, plastic bow and arrows with suction cups on them. And then they wanted you to cosplay an Indian with a backdrop of trains. You know what I mean? It would be like if Disney only had one store and it was Disney villains. And that was the only stuff you could buy to walk around Disney. And I always wondered, what did my parents think? What were they thinking? Like, how do we ease our kids into racism and cultural appropriation? How do we do that? How do we ease them in? Oh yeah, Edaville. That's how we do it. And when you're a little kid walking around with an Indian headdress and a little plastic hatchet, you know what? Strangers are always coming up to you. They're always like, "Oh, what are you? Are you an Indian? Ooh, are you gonna scalp me? Is that what's gonna happen here?" But if you're an adult walking around Edaville with a hatchet, nobody ever says anything to you. You know what I mean? They just keep walking. Somebody will give you this move right here. So I think this would be funny, but apparently they want you to ride the train as an Indian. I don't know. But they should have had a kids ride where the kids ride like abutted the train, and as a kid you got to jump off that like ride horse onto the train. Almost give you that kind of an Indian experience. I don't know. Just an idea. But Edaville is very train centric, but not train the band, trains, steam engines. There's no off-putting pictures of the lead singer of Train anywhere. Don't worry about that. They're not they're not advertising his Hallmark special at Edaville. You know what I mean? I think when I was there, I think he worked there. I think that's how he got the name for his band, Train. And sometimes people ask me, "What's your favorite Train song?" And I'm like, "Is it Chugga 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 Choo Choo? Is that one of those songs? Is that one of those? If not, it's a missed opportunity. Drops of Jupiter or something. I don't know. It's a missed opportunity." Another couple of features they had back then at Edaville was throw your trash in the river over here. That was a feature, right? Another feature was a little place over here. It was like, take these Indian recipes and steal them and claim them as your own. Right? That was another part. Yeah, Edaville though. It's pretty cool, Pretty cool if you want to go there for the Christmas lights and whatnot. You've been a great audience, Plymouth. You know what I mean? Thanks for coming out. Our time is almost up here at Walgreens. The vacant Walgreens on Court Street. How did I even get in here? Do they validate? I don't know. They still validate? I remember in the gift shop, they also had army men that were Indians and cowboys, right? And all the Indians had weapons, hatchet. One had an arrow already, pointed, you know what I mean? And the cowboys, they were pretty much more relaxed. One was riding a horse, one was playing cards, and another one was just had his hand out like this, looking like he was making a handshake deal, But behind his back, the other one was like he had his fingers crossed, you know what I mean? So I told my mom when I was playing, I was like, "Mom, I just swindled the Indians out of 1,000 acres." Yeah. One of the cowboys had like an old-fashioned tape measure. He was just going around everywhere. Well, thanks so much for coming out tonight, Plymouth. You can catch me in the new film Parade Death 2000, starring Kingston's own Chris Cooper as the evil Carney. And I might be able to make it in as another Carney or not, somewhere in the background. So, thanks. Good night. So, it's really funny that the human species has been around, 300 million years? And what would you say inflatable technology has been around for about 100 years, right? So I was in the pool the other day. We have a life-size, lifelike inflatable sea turtle, right? And I was like, we have to be the only species who makes other species out of inflatables, that I know of, right? There's no couple of whales out there riding human floats, right? and they made the human floats, they did they make them with the genitalia? You know what I mean? Come on, whales, you're better than that. Come on, have some class. Pretty sure we don't make any animals with their genitalia in our floats, right? That might be something you might see at the XXX store, like, in the bestiality section. I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know. But also those whales, you think their mom would be like, "Don't be riding that too long. You'll drift away. We won't be able to find you. We won't know where you went." I don't know. Because I know we have the technology. We make alligators out of inflatables. Do you think dolphins secretly have their own inflatables they're running around with? I don't know. Do you think the other species take our ideas and be like, "Oh, cool, neckties. Yeah, we'll do that"? I don't know. You just don't seem to see it happen. Yeah, but that's what I think about. What if we threw one of these sea turtle floats out into the ocean? You think a bunch of sea turtles would start following him like, "That one's our master. Here we go"? I don't know. It's very lifelike. And I'm talking about maybe 10, 15 years ago. We didn't have the technology that just prints it right on there. It might have been like a colorful one. This one is real. This is realistic stuff. So get down there and get down to your local Walmart and get one. It makes you wonder. These are the things I think about when I'm floating around in the pool. I don't know. This is me floating around in the pool.